Stand by for Titanfall.
Titanfall 2. The game published by EA and developed by Respawn Entertainment, and possibly the best FPS of all time. But wait a moment, if it's considered one of the best, then why am I making this video? Why did it die? What was so good about it? What did it do wrong? And what is the state of the game today? Well, all of these questions will be answered and more in today's video. So, let's talk about Titanfall 2 is a movement-based FPS developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by EA. Titanfall 2 was a sequel to the underwhelming Titanfall that released on March 11, 2014. And with the release of Titanfall 2, many diehard fans from Titanfall flocked to Titanfall 2, when it released on October 28, 2016. This wasn't the last time Respawn Entertainment and EA worked together though, as Respawn has also developed the hit battle royale Apex Legends, with EA publishing the game. And trust me, Apex Legends will be very important later. But now that we have a pretty solid idea of what Titanfall 2 is, let's talk about... I just want to start off by saying I do think that this is genuinely one of the greatest multiplayer games out there. And let me explain why. In Titanfall 2, you play as these super soldier type characters called pilots. And in Titanfall 2, it is not afraid to let you know that you are the best of the best. You see, in Titanfall 2, the game is built to where movement is king. And if you stand still for 0.1 second, you will die. And to compensate for the incredibly short time to kill, you have the awesome movement abilities to slide, wall run, double jump, and more. But how is this different from your Call of Duty Infinite Warfares? Well, the speed and pace. In Titanfall 2, everything's cranked up to 11. When you wall run, the momentum carries into you sliding. Or the next wall run. Grapples feel like you are a slingshot, and you use your momentum to your advantage. And in Titanfall 2, all the movements are so smooth and transition so well. When you are wall running and land on the ground, your screen doesn't shake, you just keep moving. And Titanfall 2, in my opinion, has some of the best movement in gaming history. Moving on is the weapons. In Titanfall 2, recoil does not exist. If you're aiming at someone and you miss, you can't say it was the recoil, cause there isn't any. And the weapons in Titanfall 2 are all so cool and unique. But now I want to talk about the Titans, probably the main attraction for the game. Let's face it, everyone loves giant robots. But do you know what makes a giant robot even cooler? More giant robots. With guns. But seriously, something I love about the Titans is that they differ their playstyle based on which one you select. And depending on the Titan you select, it could change your whole entire playstyle for that game. And not one Titan is the same as the other. They all have something special, and their abilities are so unique and vastly different, it's actually crazy. While there aren't that many Titans to pick from, only 7, I feel like the game actually benefits from this. Because I feel like if there were too many different types of Titans, the game would actually become messy and would be too different between each game, and would mess up the flow. But with having only 7 Titans, surprisingly there is a Titan for every playstyle, so there wouldn't really be a reason to add more Titans as well. And while you're in a Titan, you can perform Titan finishers, which are some of the coolest things ever. I mean, look at this clip here. And that's another thing. While you're piloting a Titan, you feel extremely powerful, but you don't feel too reckless where you feel like you're unstoppable. So it forces you to still be aware, and be smart about how you play, and not just do whatever you want because you feel invincible, which I feel like is something that most games struggle with when it comes to something like this. Either you're way too powerful, or you're way too weak, whereas Titanfall 2 masters its craft and has it to where you're still making smart decisions, but you don't really feel like you're in too much danger at that moment. Overall, in my opinion, Titanfall 2 masters this idea and capitalizes on that. Moving on, we have the monetization. Now, hear me out. Yes, I hate monetization. However, in Titanfall 2, they don't shove skins in your face for $20. They don't even shove skins in your face at all. Instead, they label the store with new customization options and skins for actual affordable prices, which is super refreshing. And none of the items are pay to win, which is absolutely incredible. Next, we have the tacticals. Now, in Titanfall 2, there are tacticals, but these tacticals act more like classes or a perk, where you can use this tactical with any loadout, but it doesn't really change anything else. It just mainly changes your tactical ability, and that's essentially it. But these tacticals are amazing because Titanfall 2 managed to make every single tactical work super well with every single loadout, whereas other games, only certain abilities work well with certain guns. But in Titanfall 2, no matter what tactical you pick, it will work with any weapon just fine, and will work in pretty much every situation, allowing you to have any playstyle you want or desire, without making your team lose. Another thing Titanfall 2 does amazingly is the level design, which is something I haven't seen many people talk about, but I feel like every level is different and unique. But that's not what's so good about the level and map designs. No, I'm talking about the movement abilities on each map. You see, like I said earlier, Titanfall 2 is a big movement game, and oftentimes games struggle with optimizing combat and movement at the same time. But Titanfall 2 perfects this, and has where the map design is a wall-running battlefield, but also where you can still sit and possibly snipe. But you can't get away with sniping for long though, because the movement areas lead into the sniping range. You see, Titanfall 2 perfects the idea of maps and level design. But for the last thing I want to talk about before we move on, I want to talk about the campaign a little. Now, I won't spoil it, but this game single-handedly might have one of the best campaigns of all time. This game is worth buying because of the campaign alone, but the fact that it has one of the best multiplayers ever is a added-on bonus. All in all, Titanfall 2 is a spectacular game, and this is a specimen of what modern-day games strive to be, but fail. And Titanfall 2, for all of this content, is 100% worth the price. More often than not, Titanfall 2 is on sale for about $3. So I urge you to at least check this game out if you haven't. But now we move on to my least favorite part. I'm going to be talking about... Starting off, Titanfall 2 is placed in between two of the most anticipated game releases at that point in time. Battlefield 1 on October 21st, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare on November 4th. And Battlefield 1 was being published by EA. So first off, not a great look for EA. And the fact that it was in between these two games really hurt Titanfall 2. So already its chances of being a success were pretty slim. And it was even more hurt by the fact that Titanfall 2 barely had any marketing. Plus these two were very established, while Titanfall 2 was considered a newbie. And because of all this, Titanfall 2 only sold 4 million copies while Battlefield 1 sold over 15 million copies. But this wasn't the only mistake made along the way. Another grave mistake made along the way was the fact that the game was incredibly buggy on launch, and there were a ton of glitches and exploits, as well as the fact that people were DDoSing the servers, and just straight up hacking. The game was essentially unplayable, but the final nail in the coffin was Apex Legends itself. Apex Legends was essentially a battle royale game made by Respawn and EA, that takes place in the same universe as Titanfall 2. The game released in 2019 and met to very good reviews as it went on. And as it went on, EA and Respawn just stopped caring about Titanfall 2, and just stopped updating the game. Essentially, they made the final blow to the game, killing it. In my opinion, Titanfall 2 was in the right place at the absolute worst time possible. And this isn't the game's fault. It wasn't bad. It was just Respawn and EA's fault for releasing it at this point and having a fight to the death between EA's beloved children, Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2. And it's Respawn's fault for the state of the game. Overall, the game didn't end itself. The reason why the game died was all because of the people who made it. Basically, the Titanfall 2 killers were EA and Respawn. But that was the past. I want to now talk about Titanfall 2 as it currently is actually in a very solid position, thanks to that random update that dropped out of the middle of nowhere. The game got a lot of buzz again, and is now doing pretty solid. While still not that many people play, I would love to see it come back to the game. And there is a die-hard group around this game. The hacking has basically disappeared and the bugs have been gone. And loading into matches is now relatively quick. Overall, this game is fantastic, and I highly recommend you play this game if you haven't already. But I have one quick prediction. If EA and Respawn were to release a third Titanfall, I believe it would do extremely well. And thanks to the somewhat revival of Titanfall 2, I believe it could do really solid. and I believe most Titanfall fans want to see a third installment. I understand Apex Legends is currently their favorite child, but a third Titanfall has real potential, but that's a discussion for a future video. Anyways, let's move on to the final part of the day. Let's move on to... As always, at the end of my videos, I shout out a few creators who I find interesting or are on the smaller side. And today, I'm shouting out Hunter Gold Games, Hunter Gold Production, and Hunter Gold Reacts. All three of these channels are owned by Hunter Gold, who strives to be the best content creator he can possibly be, trying to make the best content possible for your enjoyment. Hunter has actually helped me out a lot in the past with YouTube, and has been overall a huge help in getting me here. And Hunter is one of the most ambitious creators I've ever seen on the platform. So if you want to see a creator with some real determination, some real talent, then check out Hunter's channels. And make sure to subscribe to all of them. And as always, make sure to check out the boys' channels. Links for them in the description. And make sure to sub to all of them. And also make sure to check out the Discord for all fun video game talk and whatnot. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a lovely night.